Ladies and gentlemen, there are so many beautiful things in the world. People love the beauty of nature, some love the beauty of other individuals, and there are also some people who love to watch the knight forking the king, the queen, and the rook. Yes, the knight is such an intimidating piece in chess. Even during our childhood, when we were introduced to chess, the first thing that we've learned is that the knight can move 2.5 squares and that it could jump above other pieces. Knight is indeed an exciting piece in chess and is also unique in its own way. Today we will see one such match where the knight overpowers all the pieces present on the board. So let's just jump onto the video and see how these knights can entertain us. This was a match that was played by me when I had a rating of about 1900. My opponent was playing with the white pieces and his name was Clevel and James 696K. So the match started off with knight f3, the ready opening. I played c5 in response, g3 trying to fianchet to his bishop, knight to c6, bishop g2, and d5 going for the king's Indian setup. He opens up the diagonal for his dark square bishop, and I develop my second knight. Now he plays the move c3. I'm not so sure about his ideas. Maybe he thought about activating his queen in the b3 or the c2 square. And now I develop my bishop on the g4 square. It is not a very good move, but a kind of reasonable move. And he instantly played h3 and I retreat back with my bishop. White castles, I bring up my queen, targeting this pawn. White plays king to h2, which is also a perfectly normal move, and I don't know why the Indians don't like it. Maybe pushing this pawn was also an option. And straight away I played e5, capturing the center. White develops his other knight, and I develop my bishop on the d6 square. The plan is simple. I wanted my bishop to get this diagonal which directly aims at the king. Now my opponent played a move queen to c2. This move does not make too much sense because I instantly get the chance to push my c4 pawn. You can see this pawn is pinned and there is a lot of pressure using the bishop. He plays rook to e1 and h5. I've said I wanted this bishop in this diagonal, and so I push my h pawn trying to get rid of the g3 pawn and then give a surprise attack to the king. So now he plays knight to h4, a very reasonable move because he attacks my bishop. Ignoring this threat, I pushed my g pawn, which is also not a very good move. Now knight takes bishop, queen takes knight. And now white did a very big mistake, that is e4. A huge blunder, and what he thought was after queen takes pawn, rook to f1, and this knight is hanging. And wherever the queen moves, this knight is free to be taken. But he completely ignored the idea of the first brilliant move in this game, knight to g4 check. If you capture with the pawn, pawn takes and it is a checkmate. So he plays the first move, king to h1. And now the second brilliant move of this game, queen takes bishop. And after king takes queen, the knight comes to e3 square, forking the king, the rook, and the queen at once. Nothing is more beautiful in the world than this. King comes to f2, which is also not a very good choice because I believe that king should have gone to the g1 square. And now knight takes queen, again targeting the rook. Rook to b1 is played by my opponent, and now I captured the pawn, and also this knight is a very ominous threat for white. E takes d5 is played, and now I bring out my bishop in a very active diagonal. King to f3, and now I see another idea of fogging the king and the rook. The idea is after g4 check, h takes g4, pawn takes g4, king takes pawn, and the knight comes back yet again, forking the king and the rook. White plays king to f3 and I capture on the rook. And finally, this knight gets captured. What's the worth of this knight, by the way? Firstly, it takes on the queen, which is of 9 points, then attacks the rook, and then after few moves, it gets the rook. A total of 14 points of capture is done by the knight. I bring my knight back to e7, saving it from the pawn and also attacking it. So c4 is played, and now I go f5. This check is coming, and also this bishop is not active, this rook is also not active. There are so many problems for white. He develops his bishop, and I target it with the rook. Because you see, if bishop takes knight, another exchange would simply be a very easy win for me. So he retreats back. e4 check, king to h2, f4. Now this pawn is also pinned. White has no hopes and he plays rook to e1. And now I push my e pawn to e3. This is a tremendous attack. The king now comes closer and also unpinning it from this pawn. And now knight targets the bishop. Bishop comes to g5 again. Knight to e5 check. This pawn is hanging. And another classical move that was played is rook takes bishop. Because after king takes rook, the knight yet again forks the king and the rook. And all the major pieces, the queen and both of the rooks, has been traded with the cost of one single knight. 19 points of material was lost by white by a 3-point knight. I'm saying 3 points because white cannot recapture on this knight. And in this position, white had no clue, so he resigned. This was a perfect match for me, and I got an accuracy of 93.4 in chess.com and also a game rating of about 2400. It is also one of my favorite games where the knights just took on everything that came in its way. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked this video, and also comment your views about this match and whether you'd love to see more matches of mine. That's all for today.